Hey Green Heart community, it's Miss Amanda here, Program Director with the Green Heart Project. I'm excited to be here with you guys today virtually to read about one of my favorite fruits, the tomato, in a book called Runaway Tomato. Before we get started, I'm going to tell you why I'm here coming to you through your computer screen, and that is because we are launching something called Green Heart at Home, which is an online series of videos and activities that our students, our little buddies, and our community can do together, even when we're not able to be outside in the garden or in the kitchen classrooms. So I'm excited to be with you here today and to read this fun book. We'll be taking pauses throughout. I'm also going to get out to one of our school gardens and check on it and show you some footage from that to see some real live tomato plants and see what kind of learning that we can do out in the garden. So before we get started diving into reading this fun book, I'm going to review our 3 rules of respect. And I hope that all of you are practicing these at home, even though we're not out in the gardens and kitchen together. So the first one is respect yourself. Okay, so I'm going to be thinking as I read this book, are there examples of ways that I can be respecting myself throughout this book? I can think of one way. This is a book that belongs to the Green Heart Project. It's one of our materials, so I'm going to be sure that I'm really careful with it, and I'm turning the pages carefully and taking care of this book that actually doesn't belong to me and borrowing it. Okay, so that's one way. I'm also going to be thinking about ways that by eating fruits and vegetables like delicious tomatoes, that could be an example of respecting myself and taking care of my body. All right, the next rule number 2, is respect your buddies. Okay, so I'm here with you guys today virtually, but I'm going to be thinking about ways that the characters in Runaway Tomato are respecting each other throughout the book, and there's lots of examples of this. Okay, and that might look like teamwork, right? That might look like communication, being kind to one another, helping each other out. Those are a little preview of what we're going to see in this book. And rule number 3 is respect the earth. Okay, so I'm sitting here about to read this book. It's about growing tomatoes and plants, right? And we know that growing plants is a good way to respect the earth. Right? The plants give off oxygen, which helps us as humans breathe, and it's really good for our planet to have lots of plants growing. So just by planting this tomato plant in the book, our character's already respecting the earth. But I'm going to be looking for other ways that he might be practicing respecting the earth in this book. All right, buddies, I hope you are just as anxiously awaiting the start of this book as I am. It's a really fun one, and it is called Runaway Tomato. Great. Look at this fun artwork on this page. All the tomatoes. All right, so it starts out, perfect day, full of light. Rain, rain, rain through the night. Tomato grows big, big, big. Door is stuck. Get a rig. Okay, I'm going to pause here and think about what is happening in this book. So I see that this tomato has grown so big that it is taking over this page. And this looks like our main character, our protagonist here, this little dog who is growing the tomato, right? And I'm going to think about, why did this tomato plant grow this big? Okay, so there's some context clues we can use in this book. And I'm going to pause and give you a chance to think about it. Right? So if I turn back to that first page, perfect day full of light. What kind of light are they talking about here? That's right, they're talking about the sun. So that plant was getting tons of sunlight, which we know that tomatoes need. Tomatoes need 8 hours of sunlight a day to grow nice and big. They are a warm weather crop. So we're planting them. We just planted them in our Green Heart Gardens. It's springtime right now. And we're going to watch them grow big over the spring and summer and grow lots of tomatoes. So we had sunlight. That's one. What's another thing that helped that tomato plant grow nice and big? Rain. Okay? So water. That's our second basic need of our plant. And we know that when temperatures get warm outside, our plants need lots of water. So that plant got lots of rain. Another thing, this tomato plant is up on this hill, this house, all by itself. So it has lots of room to grow, which is our third basic need of a plant, and that's space. Right? Now coming back to this page, you can see that this tomato is planted in the ground, which means that it is planted in the soil. And the soil, we know, has lots of nutrients. And those are things that are in the ground, like vitamins and minerals, that help the plant grow big and strong. All right? So we have sun, water, space, and nutrients. Right? Those are 4 basic needs. Anyone know our last basic need? Turn back to this page. That's right, lots of air. So there's a ton of air and circulation around that plant. It's up on a hill. It's probably nice and breezy up there. So it's getting all of the basic needs of a plant. So that might be, using my context clues, that might be why this tomato plant is getting so big. All right, let's continue. Mower pulls, vroom, vroom, vroom. Try the tractor, make some room. Children coming, make the hike, bringing scooters, wagons, bikes. Hook them up, one by one. Parents follow, on the run. Tug and pull, push and shove. Tomatoes stuck, still won't budge. All right? So I want you to pause here. We see that all these children, all of these parents are running up and they are pushing and shoving and pulling this giant tomato at the top of the hill. Let's stop and make a prediction. What do you think is going to happen next? All right, let's find out if your predictions are right. Tow truck pulls with all its might. Whole town's here, and what a sight. Everyone push. 1, 2, 3. Tomato slides. Finally free. So they had the whole town, and they finally got that tomato off the vine. You can see where it broke off the vine. But what is going to happen now? Heads up, move, look out below. Tomatoes rolling, won't go slow. Faster, faster, down it slides. Hold on tight, what a ride. Will it slow? Will it stop? Not yet. So call in the cops. Oh my gosh. Police car comes, officers try. Tomato zooms right on by. If you look closely, you see our lead character, the little dog, up there on the tomato. So this tomato is bouncing through their town, this giant tomato. That dog has some green thumbs to grow a tomato that size. Firefighters on the double, ladders raised, looks like trouble. Firefighters slip and slide right on down the tomato's side. Far too slippery, can't hold tight. Look, 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 a chopper's flight. So they are calling in a helicopter to try and get this giant tomato. Oh, turning it this way. Chopper lowers, rope with a hook. Fly straight up. Oh no, look! Up, up, up. Into the sky, tomatoes going high, high, high. Rope is squeezing, much too tight. Tomatoes squishing. What a sight! Oh no! So friends, let's pause here. They tied a rope around this tomato fruit, and they are about to pull it. So I want you to stop and make another prediction about what might happen. I also want us to stop and think about what part of the plant this tomato is, because there's a clue here about what's going to happen next. I think that knowing the parts of the plant and identifying which part this tomato is will help us to make an educated guess about what is going to happen next. Okay? So if I look back and I think about what I know about the parts of a plant, we're going to go back to page 1 where we learned about this tomato growing. So we know that the tomato was planted in the soil. Okay, so we're going to go from the soil up. So what grows beneath the soil? That's our first part of the plant. That's right, the roots grow beneath the soil, and the roots help get nutrients and water to the plant to help it grow. There are some fruits and vegetables that we eat that are root vegetables. Can you think of a vegetable that grows beneath the ground that we eat? A carrot. Great. A radish, a turnip, those are other things we plant in our Green Heart gardens. Those are root vegetables. Next, as we come up out of the ground, we are coming up on another part of the plant, which is the what? That's right, the stem. The stem is the part of the plant that's connected to the roots. So the roots suck up all those water and nutrients and they come up into the stem. And the stem holds the plant upright. Okay? But that's not what part of the plant this tomato is. So we're going to keep going. After the stem leaps out into, oops, I just gave it away. The stem branches out into what? That's right, the leaves. So some fruits and veggies that we eat consist of the stem and the leaf. Can you think of a veggie that we eat that is actually the leaf of the plant? It might include the stem. That's right, kale or collard greens, right? Those are all the leaf part of the plant, the leafy greens, lettuce. All right, but that's not what part of the plant the tomato is. Do we eat the tomato leaves? Not usually. In fact, you wouldn't want to eat them. They're not very good for you. They'll upset your stomach. So if we keep going, friends, these leaves would branch out and would eventually form a flower. This is a tricky one, can you think of a fruit or vegetable that we eat that is actually a flower? Cauliflower has the name in it. Broccoli is also a flower, right? But a tomato is not a flower, though we're getting closer. When we look at our tomato plant and it flowers, those flowers tell us that the tomato is coming. They tell us that the fruit is coming. So tomato is actually the fruit of the plant. Okay? Once all those petals fall off, the center of that flower becomes the tomato fruit. And inside the fruit, friends, inside of a tomato, this is where we get back to our prediction. Inside of a tomato, what is held inside of a fruit or a tomato? If you take a look at this. We see that there is juice starting to come out. What's inside? Let's find out. So we'll go back to this. Rope is squeezing, much too tight. Tomatoes squishing, what a sight. Sauce is falling down, 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 like rain, rain, rain across the town. Yuck, 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 yells the crowd. It's like a bursting tomato cloud. So inside that tomato is all of that juice that has the seeds, friends. The seeds to the tomato are held inside. So that is tomato juice and seeds that are falling all over the town. Okay? Look at this woman right here. She's taking advantage of this because squished tomato, as they call it, is also known as sauce. It can be made into a tomato sauce, just like we enjoy on our pizza and pastas. And I'm going to present a recipe at the end of this for tomato sauce, an easy recipe that you guys can do at home. All right, let's keep going. Cleanup time begins right here. Everyone now, go get your gear. Fill the wagons to the brim. Pickups waiting. Dump it in. Tractors plow up fields of goo. Mixer trucks collect your crew. Dozers push, backhoes dig. Sauce fills up. 10 red big rigs. All right, so they are working hard to clean up all of the sauce from this giant tomato that burst all over the town. But where are they going to take it? Garbage trucks, your turn is here. Back them up, put them in gear. Fill the hopper to the top. Hopper's full, time to drop. To the dump, they zoom, zoom, zoom. Dump it out, no more room. Drive back down, the work is done. Mess cleaned up, now time for fun. All right. So it sounds like they practiced some grit and worked really hard to clean up their town of all this sauce. But I have a feeling that they got creative with some of it. So let's see what happens. Hurry, hurry, one and all. It's Tomato Fest at City Hall. Look at this page. Have a scoop or take a sip. Try the coaster or a flip. Throw balloons or take a swim. Pool is filled up to the brim. Sun is setting on the town. Time to dance. Let's hoe down. Grab a partner, do-si-do. Twist and twirl, then take it slow. Right? So they practice optimism. They hope for the best and work to make it happen. And they turned their big tomato problem into a good thing. They are having a tomato fest that looks kind of like a state fair. And you can see they're also showing us the many ways that tomatoes can be eaten. Look at that girl with the tomato ice cream. Right? So I want you all to stop and think, what is your favorite way to eat tomatoes? Darkness settles on the square. Tired people everywhere. Strolling home without a peep. Work is done. Town's fast asleep. But here we go again. Rain, rain, rain through the night. Sun is shining bright, bright, bright. Tomatoes growing at the dump. No more room. Bump, bump, bump. So friends, this is teaching us something that we already know here at Green Heart, because we would have put all these extra tomatoes if we couldn't use them in the compost, which means that that's nature's way of recycling. So those seeds are replanting themselves and regrowing tomatoes. So to review, the town dumped all of these tomatoes at the dump thinking that they could get rid of them. But when it rained, they got water. When they had sun and they had their nutrients, they started to grow again. Bumping, squishing down the hill. Grab the gear, you know the drill. All right, so here's our town again, with now lots of giant tomatoes bumping down the hill from the dump towards the town. The end. So buddies, I hope you enjoyed Runaway Tomato as much as I did. This is something that hopefully we can check out from the library at some point and read again. But now I want to talk just a little bit more about what we learned. So we learned about the basic needs of a plant. They were water, sunlight, space, nutrients in the soil, and air. Okay, 5 basic needs. And we learned about the parts of a plant. And we learned that tomato is the fruit. Okay, and inside that fruit are the seeds. We also learned that in this book, this town made the best of their situation and turned all of this extra tomato juice and sauce into lots of delicious treats. Okay, so I now want to share a recipe from one of my favorite cookbooks called Good and Cheap for an easy tomato sauce that you could make at home. So other things to add to this would be different spices that you might have in your spice cabinet at home. But that tomato sauce could go really well on pasta or pizza, or you can add lots of different vegetables to make it tasty. That is all for today, buddies. I hope you enjoyed Runaway Tomato and learning about the parts of a plant and the basic needs, and just reading this fun story along with me. Bye, buddies.